Hello, I'm going to read a book called The Seven Chinese Brothers by Margaret Mai and illustrated by Jean and Lucien Stein. The Seven Chinese Brothers. The Seven Chinese Brothers by Margaret Mai and illustrated by Jean and Lucien Stein. Don't need to read that. Once upon a time, when Qin Shi Huang was emperor of all China, 7 remarkable brothers lived together on a beautiful hillside. They walked alike, they talked alike, they even looked so much alike that was hard to tell one brother from the brother next to him. All the same, each brother had something special about him. Each brother had one amazing power that was all his own. For first brother's amazing, he could hear a fly sneeze from 100 miles away, while second brother's amazing eyes could look right across the 100 miles and see the fly sitting on the Great Wall of China, sneezing and feeling very sorry for itself. Third brother was a man of unusual strength. He could walk across China in a straight line, lifting up any mountains that got in his way and putting them carefully back behind him. Fourth brother was strong too, for he had bones of iron that wouldn't break, buckle, or bend. Fifth brother had legs that could grow tall as thick as tree trunks, while sixth brother never ever came too hot, no matter how hard he worked under the summer sun. As for seventh brother, he was the baby of the family, and all his 6 older brothers tried to keep him smiling and happy. For he was their youngest brother. When he was unhappy, he wept bright, warm, salt tears, and each tear was large enough to drown an entire village. The 7 brothers lived very happy together, and seventh brother never once had anything to cry about. But one day, as they worked on their hillside, first brother lifted his head with his amazing ears on either side of it and said, "I can hear such a moaning and groaning 100 miles away by the Great Wall of China." Second brother, take a look and tell me what all the trouble's about. Second brother turned his far-seeing eyes toward the Great Wall. "Ah, yeah," he cried. "There's an enormous hole in the Great Wall of China. I see 100 poor men working day and night and day. They look so tired and weak. Perhaps they are not allowed to sleep or eat until the hole in the Great Wall of China is repaired." "Ah, yeah, I can't bear it," cried seventh brother, who was always hungry himself. He looked as if he might begin to cry in sympathy with the poor, hard-working men. "Don't cry," said third brother. "I'll go and help them." Off he went as quickly as he could and got in there and have him in less than no time. He set to work at once, tossing great stones. By the time darkness came, the hole was completely filled. Then third brother lay down to take a nap. But when the emperor heard that a single man had repaired the hole in one afternoon, he was not at all grateful. Indeed, he looked very worried. "Man as powerful as that is more trouble than he's worth," thought the emperor to himself. "Strong men can be very useful to an emperor, but this one is too strong. One army may not be enough to catch them. I better stand too." When third brother woke up from his nap, he found himself surrounded by 2 armies. By the command of the celestial emperor, whose face is more dazzling than the rising sun. You are to be executed in the morning, proclaimed the generals of the two armies. Take the prisoner to the palace of the emperor, they ordered. When they heard this, their brother burst into tears. 100 miles away, on the beautiful hillside, first brother and third brother heard third brother crying. Third brother must be in trouble, he exclaimed. Second brother looked far into the distance. Ah, yeah! Third brother has been taken to the palace. He's surrounded by two armies that are going to execute him in the morning. No wonder he's crying. Don't worry, cried fourth brother, who saw that seventh brother was about to cry too. I will change places with him. The celestial emperor, whose face is more dazzling than the rising sun, can try cutting my head off as many times as he likes. Perhaps that will make him feel better. Off he went as quickly as he could. He got there in half a minute, less than no time. He sneaked between the two armies to the third brother, who was wide awake and waiting for him. So third brother went home, and fourth brother took his place. All the next day, the officers of the two armies tried over and over again to behead fourth brother, but sword after sword bent and broke on his bones of iron. In the end, they were forced to confess to the mighty emperor, whose whisper was like the rumble of thunder, that they simply could not behead their prisoner. A man with bones of iron, roared the mighty emperor. Drown him in the deep sea tomorrow. When fourth brother heard that he was to be drowned, he became very upset. Bones of iron won't bend or buckle or break, but they will sink, he thought to himself, and he burst into tears. A 100 miles away on the beautiful hillside, fourth brother began to cry. Fourth brother's crying, he said. Second brother looked into the distance, far beyond the hills, and said, Ah, yeah, tomorrow morning they are going to drown fourth brother. No wonder he is crying. Don't worry, said fifth brother. Fifth brother interrupted. I will change places with him. The mighty emperor, whose whisper is like the rumble of thunder, can try to drown me as many times as he likes. Perhaps that might make him feel better. Off he went as quickly as he could, and got there in half a minute, less than no time. He tiptoed past the guards to fourth brother, who was awake and waiting for him. Swiftly they switched places, and fourth brother went home. On the next day, the soldiers of the two armies tried to drown fifth brother. They threw him into the deep sea, but his legs grew so quickly, the water only came up to his knees. They tried throwing him into the deeper water, but the deep water only just reached as far as his waist. Finally, they threw him into the deepest part of the sea. The deepest part of the sea only came up to his neck. Waves broke under his chin. Ah, said fifth brother, smiling happy. How lovely and cool is this deepest sea water of all. He's more dangerous than I imagined, muttered the splendid emperor, whose mirrors glanced glances like a flash of lightning. He won't drown, but he might burn. Into the fire with them tomorrow morning, he commanded. When he was told his fate, fifth brother burst into tears. Far away on the beautiful hillside, first brother heard fifth brother's cries. Second brother looked right across 100 miles to the Great Wall of China. "Ah, he cried. Tomorrow morning they are going to burn fifth brother alive. No wonder he is crying." "Don't worry," said sixth brother. "I'm afraid that seventh brother might begin to cry too. I will take his place as an emperor, whose merest glances like a flash of lightning can beg me all day long if he likes," he said with a shiver. "Perhaps that will make him feel better." Off he went as quickly as he could, and he got there in half a minute less than no time. He tiptoed in between the two armies and found fifth brother, who was awake and waiting for him. So fifth brother went home, and sixth brother took his place. The next day, the two armies ran backwards and forwards, bringing kindling wood, brushwood, and driftwood, and bundles of dried grass. They built such a big fire that the smoke from it drifted from one end of China to the other. But sixth brother never ever felt too hot. Basking in the heat of the blaze, he sighed with happiness. How kind of the noble emperor to let me warm myself in his very own fire, he said. The noble emperor, his slightest frown made the land shake like an earthquake. He was furious. Send the royal archers, he ordered. In the morning we will shoot this man full of arrows. Sixth brother burst into tears. Over on the beautiful hillside, first brother heard sixth brother crying. Second brother, he asked, "What do you see?" "Ah, yeah," cried second brother. "Tomorrow morning they are going to shoot sixth brother full of arrows." The brothers looked at each other. "There's nothing we can do for it," said first brother. "We cannot leave sixth brother to die alone. We will all go to the noble emperor, whose slightest frown, who makes the land shake like an earthquake. He can shoot arrows through all of us. At least we will be together." Those brothers started their journey to the palace, but poor seventh brother was so upset that he couldn't help crying just a little. His first tear was as big as the longest river in China, rolled into a single drop. His second tear was as big as the second longest river. Both tears was as salty as the sea. A great ocean of warm sea salt water swept down the road ahead of the brothers. It swept on for 100 miles. Seventh brother, first tear, swept one army north. His second tear swept the other army south. As for the emperor, he was tossed so high and so far that he's still trying to return to his palace. Seventh brother's flood of tears swept over the Great Wall of China and flowed all the way out into the Yellow Sea and all the way back again in half a minute, less than no time. Sixth brother was free. Here he hurried back up the road while his six wonderful brothers hurried down the road. They were reunited at the Great Wall. "Fish!" cried fifth brother. the wave had washed hundreds of glistening fishes ashore. They were flipping and flapping, all piled all the way up to his knees. Wood! cried third brother, gathering a forest to start a fire. Fourth brother snapped his iron finger and his iron thumb. A spark leaped out to set the fire blazing and crackling. Fire! Cried, laughing. Oh, I'm so hungry, said seventh brother. Now that we are all together again, we can never have dinner and forget our problems. I promise never to cry again unless I absolutely must. So the seven Chinese brothers sat themselves down around the warm fire and feasted on delicious fried fish. After such a worrying week, they were all very, very hungry. The end.